Fairness is a biblical requirement. God expects us to be fair to one another. In fact, you can't claim you have justice without fairness. And our God is a God of justice. So we need to ask ourselves whether we take fairness as a value. This needs to be taught right up when the children are young. That means you can't take more food than necessary when your brother is going to be without food. Fairness requires that you don't just think about yourself, you think about the other. But fairness also does mean that there will be an acceptable system of division so that everybody feels included. New term of inclusivity is a term that has been brought because of the need for fairness. This is what Moses had to face before he died. Let's just look at Deuteronomy chapter 3, beginning at verse 12. Of the land that we took over at the time, I gave to the Reubenites and the Gadites the territory north of Ar by the Arnon Gorge, including half the hill country of Gilead, together with its town. The rest of Gilead and also all Bashan, the kingdom of Og, I gave to the half-tribe of Manasseh. The whole region of Agog in Bashan used to be known as the land of the Rephites. Jair, a descendant of Manasseh, took the whole region of Agog as far as the border of Geshurite and the Maccathites. It was named after him, so that to this day Bashan is called Havoth Jair. And I gave Gilead to Machir, but to the Reubenites and the Gadites I gave the territory extending from Gilead down to the Arnon Gorge, the middle of the gorge being the border, and out to the Jabbok River, which is the border of the Ammonites. Its western border was the Jordan in the Arabah, and from Kinnereth to the Sea of the Arabah, that is the Dead Sea, below the slopes of Pisgah. I commanded you at the time, the Lord your God has given you this land to take possession of it, but all your able-bodied men ought armed for battle must cross over ahead of the other Israelites. However, your wives, your children, and your livestock, I know you have much livestock, may stay in the towns I have given you until the Lord gives rest to your fellow Israelites as he has to you. And they too have taken over the land that the Lord your God is giving them across the Jordan. After that, each of you may go back to the possession I have given you. Here is the issue. They have begun to conquer, but they haven't conquered enough. They have only conquered a particular portion of land on the eastern side of the Jordan. It can't take all the 12 tribes of Israel. So what do? Verse 12 says, of the land that we took over at the time, I gave to the Reubenites and the Gadites the territory north of Ar by the Arnon Gorge, including half the hill country of Gilead, together with its town. The rest of Gilead and also all of Bashan, the kingdom of Gog, I gave to the half-tribe of Manasseh. So you can see clearly 2.5 tribes are the ones that are the first to get. Why would the other tribes feel uncomfortable, do you think? I think the first thing that makes us uncomfortable is what I call poverty mentality. If, for example, there is a fear that it is not going to be possible for there to be enough land for everybody. If they have a fear that the God who has helped them to conquer on the eastern side might not help them to conquer on the western side, then basically everybody would want to be the ones who are the first to be given land. And that's what I call poverty mentality. When you think that the things available are not enough, therefore you fight. Even before you have thought through, you are fighting. For example, you look at the meal and it is too little for all of you at the table. And even before you thank God for the food, you already started strategizing how your speed of hand and mouth is going to put more into your stomach than your brother. That is the same spirit let us see in what we call grabbing, the disease of grabbing that we know in many African countries, where every public piece of plot is grabbed. And sometimes you grab it, then you don't even know what to do with it because you are not thought through. The idea is there isn't enough land. Let me pick what I can. Fairness does not play any role in that case. And it will be important that we are the kind of a person who is able to see that fairness requires you don't just think of yourself, you think of others. So the poverty mentality makes you doubt there is enough. And so you start fighting. Many people, even in places of work, they want to give bad report to your boss so that you don't get the promotion. What's the main? Which is unfair because obviously they are lying and you end up losing the promotion. But why do they do it? The kind of feeling that the promotions are so few, if he gets it, I'll not get it. So there's a fight, a competition that forces everybody to do what is not right in order to end up getting more. And I want to ask you, do you have that spirit of poverty mentality, thinking there isn't enough? You know something? It is possible that your promotion is not in that company. Why? There are more companies than that. It is possible that there are more girls. Don't fight. It's foolishness to fight over a girl because you think it's unfair for this girl to choose karaoke and not Otieno. So Otieno fights karaoke over a girl. Surely, a girl who has not chosen you, is it worth fighting for? Why can't you start thinking, yes, I may not be able to get Atieno, but there are so many people God has created, and I don't know who among them he wants to give me, but I know he will give me. I believe he will give me. The moment you have a feeling that God, who is the owner of everything and who also owns you, has enough for you, you never get involved in grabbing. You will never treat others unfairly. At the back of your mind, you have a feeling God has enough for you, and even if he doesn't give you this particular one, he is going to give you more elsewhere. That's what you call poverty mentality. The decision there isn't enough. The decision, the other tribes, maybe we take 3 out of 11. The other 8 tribes must be feeling very forgotten and unfair. Why would you feel like that? Only if you don't believe that God has enough land for everybody. But he already promised there'll be enough for everybody. He has even declared the boundaries, how far they will get. They are going right up to the Mediterranean, from the River Jordan on the western side right up to Mediterranean. So there's enough land. It's only they haven't got it yet. But God has promised that he's the one who is going to fight the battles until they actually win. Therefore, it is possible to give the 2.5 tribes land on this side, and the others don't feel threatened because they believe it's only this is allocated to this, we are going to get the other one also. So let me ask you the question. Are you the kind of a person who is always jealous of what people have? Your solution to jealousy is the cause of your jealousy is likely to be poverty mentality, deciding there isn't enough available, and so if you don't get it, or if the other person gets it, you not get. When you know there is enough, you can't be jealous of what they have, because you know when God wants you to have, you also have. And their having does not stop God from giving you, because there is enough in God's storehouse. That's really something that you have to think about. We must stop this competitive spirit, which is caused by poverty mentality. You know, the opposite of this poverty mentality is plenty mentality. The belief that the sky is the limit. The blue sky mentality, that is enough. It's only we haven't got it yet, but it is enough. If you have that kind of feeling, you always will not be where you are. You will not feel like it's terrible. You know, I'm here temporarily, I'm going to a better place. I have this little temporarily, I'll get more in God's time. So somehow it doesn't, you don't have to suffer from inferiority complex, you don't have to suffer from jealousy, because you can allow the Gadites, the Manassites, and the Reubenites to get the land until you get yours. And you are the one who has helped them to fight to get the land. You are involved in the fighting, but once the land became available, you are not even given any peace, because yours is going to be given on the other side of the river Jordan. My prayer is that this is something that you train your children to understand, that God is a provider, and that you need to work hard. When you work hard, that's your bait. It's God's bait to bless. And you should not be feeling terrible because He hasn't given you yet. The word is yet. You know, that's the problem. That's what caused the first murder on earth. The first murder was caused by, hey, how come God has accepted Abel's sacrifice? Cain wonders. And so Cain is jealous and murders his brother. This feeling like God does not have enough to accommodate both boys, and the only two on the whole earth, is what caused the first murder. We need to deal with it, and it is demonstrated very well in this story of the Israelites dividing up the land. We read in verse 14, Jair, a descendant of Manasseh, took the whole region of Argob as far as the border of the Geshurites and the Maacathites. It was named after him, so that to this day Bashan is called Havoth Jair. And I gave Gilead to Machir, but to the Reubenites and the Gadites I gave the territory extending from Gilead down to Arnon Gorge, the middle of the gorge being the border, and out of the Jabbok River, which is the border of the Ammonites. His western border was the Jordan in the Arabah, from Kinnereth to the Sea of the Arabah, that's the Dead Sea, below the slopes of Pisgah. So it's not just the question of the land is divided about the tribes. Even the land allocated to one tribe. One guy has taken a lot of land, and we're not hearing others complaining. They believe they'll be adequate for them until they allow Jair, a descendant of Manasseh, to take the whole region of Argob, as far as the border. You know, sometimes we complain, we think about tribalism, and we think one tribe against another. We feel if only this country had only one tribe, this problem would be over. No. Somalia has only one tribe, one language, one religion, but they now become clan fights. Each clan fights the other. It's in our fallen creation not to be fair. It's in our fallen creation to be jealous. In our fallen creation nature to think of ourselves and not think of others. So you can see, even after you have sorted out the intertribal rivalry, you now can come intra-tribal rivalry. But Jair is able to get, and Machir are able to get their portions of land. And it's actually noted in this portion of scripture. And they are given the proper geographical geographical measurements of where they will be, or below the slopes of Pisgah. Pisgah is a hill where a mountain went on top to look over the other side, went inside of the Jordan to see the land the rest of the tribes would have, because God told him, just watch it, enjoy it, but you yourself will not go there. So, are you suffering from tribalism? Your problem is you don't have the godly spirit of fairness, wanting everybody to get their bit. Are you suffering from clan intra-clan rivalry? Your problem is fairness. That's what the Israelites had to learn as they were dealing with the issues that were at hand. And I want to ask you, is that something, this fairness issue, is what will deal with us and our problem of tribalism? Do you suffer from tribalism? I think several things. Number one is pride. If you think you are special, then you wonder, I'm the one who should be getting the land first. Or you think I am the firstborn, everything should come to me. Or you think I'm a boy, what are the girls asking here? Everything should go to the boys. Or I'm a girl, what are boys doing with my mother's property? Now, fairness is what will deal with our tribal challenges. So, but I'm trying to explain what causes it, and I'm saying pride, thinking you are special, is a problem. You know, the moment you understand that we are all created in the image of God, the short one, the tall one, the fat one, the narrow one, all of us start seeing that all of them are important. Of course, you may be said to be more beautiful than Atieno, but the fact that you are more beautiful, that's God's the giftings. The truth is, Atieno, inside Atieno's ugly body, is the Spirit of God. And God values Atieno just as he values you, the bitter queen. So the thing that can help us deal with intertribal rivalry, with tribalism, with racism, is to understand that God never consulted you when creating the other person. And yet, he loves them the way they are. You are white, I am black. That's God's choice. You never put an application, God, I want to be born white. And I never put an application, I want to be born black. Those are the moment both of us understand we had no choice in that's God's choosing. Then pride, thinking I am better than you, will sort it out. The number two that will help sort it out is to see that God never made us uniform. In schools, we are made to wear uniform to try to look alike. But that's not the way we are created. We are created different. You can even be twins, but your likes and dislikes are not exactly the same. You look exactly the same. People even mistake you for one another, but you don't have the same nature. You don't have the same likes and dislikes. You are different, but God loves you the way you are. So we need to understand, in order to treat each other fairly, you need to understand you did not participate in how you are created, and therefore start seeing that the choices I have may not be your choices, but there's no problem. Please give me the freedom to like my choices, and I should give you the freedom to like your choices, because the key word which we're saying is your behavior is different from mine, but one is not wrong and the other one right. For most things, it's the way we do things different. Our behavior is different, but it's not a question of sin. I'm not sinning, I'm just different. So it's important to understand that if you start accepting these differences, I'm quiet, you are talkative, you are tall, I'm short. If you start accepting that most of those differences are inborn and not something somebody can deal with, you accept them the way they are, and therefore you'll not be tempted to be unfair to them or look down on them. So it's important. So the first thing is deal with your pride. Number two, accept the differences. And do not start thinking that if somebody does something differently, it makes him inferior. The word is different, because our likes are different. Just like you and your brother born in the same family, you still have different likes and different dislikes. And that will be something that you need to deal with. So, these people have been given land, and in such a way that they are able to accept it. Why do they accept it? Because they believe God has enough for them. Verse 18, I commanded you at the time, the Lord your God has given you this land to take possession of it. But all your able-bodied men, armed for battle, must cross over ahead of the other Israelites. However, your wives, your children, and your livestock, I know you have much livestock, may stay in the towns I have given you until the Lord gives rest to your fellow Israelites as he has to you, and they too have taken over the land that the Lord your God is giving them across the Jordan, and that each of you may go back to the possession I have given you. We're still talking about fairness. What is fairness? Fairness is ensuring you are not just the receiver. It's give and take. I may have more money than you, so I should give you money. You have more time, offer to do something for me with your time. I may be good at drawing, but you are good at farming. So I can draw for you a picture you can put in your house. But because you are cultivating, you can give me a few cabbages. Now, what we are learning is, nobody should be a dependent. We have 3 choices. You can become a dependent, or you can become independent, or you can become interdependent. I think what the Israelites are being taught in this division of land is that they are not to be independent. Now that you have learned, forget about your brothers. No. The fact that your brother doesn't have should touch you. The fact that your brother has not yet acquired or taken possession of his land to touch you. So the Manasseh, Gadites, and Reubenites are being told, remember you are okay, but your brothers are not. So please don't rest until your brothers have also found land. So we are learning you can't be called fair when you allow people to help you and you do nothing about them. You just enjoy receiving. I have seen young people helped by their senior brother, and he's not their parent. They are educated. They are helped in every way. Once they themselves are adults, and by that time their brother is much older, they don't think of helping him. In fact, they keep thinking he owes them. I said, wait a minute. Shouldn't you? He helped you when you are young. Shouldn't you help him now that he is an old man and you are younger and stronger? But you don't feel an obligation. After all, he had been helped by my parents. But the parents did not. He also has his own children. It's important. So here we are saying fairness is resisting and refusing to become a dependent. Somebody always begging. Somebody always look for ways of being independent yourself without being rude about it. So the first thing is, God does not want you to be a dependent, where you get help and you can't give other help. Number 2, God does not want you to be independent. These people are likely to say, but I have my land. What do I care about the other people? Independent means you don't want any help. You don't want any like now the 8 tribes could say, don't come, stay in your land. I don't need we can manage without you. No. It is fellowship. Learn to receive help from others. There are people who are so embarrassed when they receive help. Don't beg for help. But if help comes, we are supposed to be willing to receive it from others. And it will be important that you don't become an independent-minded person who cannot be in fellowship with others. In fact, the Bible tells us others will know we are Christians by our love for each other. That means we are helping one another. like the New Testament church, which cared for each other. You need to ask yourself, have you become so independent? You don't accept any help from anybody, neither do you give. You are independent-minded. That's not biblically right. So what should we do? Interdependent is the word for a Christian. What does interdependent mean? It means you are not independent and you are not dependent, but you are involved in your community. So you receive help, you give help, you do not become a dependent on others, but when they give you, you actually receive. That makes you interdependent. So these 2.5 tribes are told, you are okay, you have settled, your families can live here. After all, there is no opposition in the sense that they killed everybody who was in that land. But they themselves must go. And they are going to be fighting. Some of them are going to die, but they're not dying for their land. They are dying for the sake of their brethren, which is called patriotism. And I think that's what fairness will lead you to do. To make yourself uncomfortable for the sake of your brothers. To actually take risks, like these 2.5 tribes are taking, not so that you gain, but for the sake of others. You will find people these days write their vision and mission statement. One thing that's certain is that none of us was born for ourselves. So if your vision in life is to be a rich man, if your vision in life is to own a whole county, if your vision in life, that is about me and me and me and myself, that's not going to help you. You will never enjoy life until you turn yourself the other way around, where what takes you is, how can I be useful to my brothers? How can I be helpful to them? How can I be the kind of a person who others will value because of how I've invested in their lives? These people, the 2.5 tribes, are moving to the rest of the land, not for their sake. They are taking risks, not for their sake, but for the sake of their brothers. The same way these people had taken risks for them. And I want to ask you, what is it you have done for the benefit of others to the glory of God? That's what your life is all about. Your life is not about me and myself. Your life is about how do you live your life so that your life benefits other people that God brings your way. That's really one of the things that you need to answer for yourself. How is your life lived in order to? And they were told you must, the 2.5 tribes were told, don't get tempted. As we cross the Jordan, you will cross with us. Leave your families here. Now, in which way are you tempted to be a receiver and not a giver? Who are people in your life who have been invested heavily in you and God has given an opportunity to help them and you are not helping them? Is it your parents that you are not being helpful to? Is it older people? Or is it the crippled? Or is it the poorer? Or is it a friend who needs your time because he is going through a rough patch and you are not giving him that? What is it you need to do in order to say that I'm living my life for God? Remember, God cannot be served in any way. God has no needs. So there's nothing you can do for God. What you need to do is to do something for God's people. And he said, when you do it to the least of this, you have done it for me. And so fairness requires you do not just think of yourself, you think of others. Fairness requires that you sacrifice yourself for the sake of others. And fairness requires that you think of others. You become other-centered rather than self-centered. And you become other-centered, it does not mean you forget yourself. You also look at your needs, but you think of how to produce enough to meet your needs and the needs of others.